I'm excited for this weekend. I think it's going to be big time. I think we're going to surprise a lot of people, man.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into TexAgs Rewind, presented by Specs in the Rollo Insurance Studio. David Nuno, Callie Gardner's at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center, Nick Savage behind the glass. Callie, your favorite part of the show?
I want to say SEC Mike, but
You're allowed to. You can say whatever you want.
his 4-2 kind of like hit me.
Oh, yeah, I don't like that either. But I mean,
Other than that was great. I think we're going to be better than that.
But we're not going to judge people on opinions.
No, the interview was great.
Yeah.
Still my favorite part, but that kind of, we're better
Even
than
though you set up the Rudy Ruettiger interview, you're going to go there. Okay.
He was great too. He was awesome.
Nick, your favorite part?
I'm gonna double up there. I'm gonna say SEC Mike because I enjoy like every time y'all get on the show together. You're like, oh, I'm not gonna bring up how we got mad at each other a couple of years ago, but you just did. So it's like kind of like a reverse Nunoism, you know. So I appreciate that. We need a ding for every TexAgs radio reference. We need a ding for every Nunoism.
All right, so here's the deal. I made a TexAgs radio mistake at the very top of the show. I think that was the only one I made.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Okay.
You
Almost
also
a perfect
always catch
game.
yourself like immediately after.
Yeah, it's
It's
bit.
never a delay. It's like you stop yourself.
I said it. I did say it. What else did we have on the show? Anything else?
We had Jordan Pugh. We had Olin Buchanan.
Oh, legends. That and more. It's the Rewind.
If you had to put a number on the sacks for Nick Scorton in that game, based on what you know about their offensive line, and again, like I said, that's not to say that A&M's going to get 7 sacks, but based on what we know, based on the production we've seen from Scorton, we've seen from Shamar Turner, we've seen from Shamar Stewart, who's been able to get to the quarterback, maybe not the number of sacks he wants. What would you say the number of sacks for Scorton is going to be?
Well, you know, I think 2 is fair and ambitious. I think anything over 2, you're really asking a lot, because if he gets 1 and it looks like that guy is overmatched, then you're going to start chipping him and have a running back back there, and so somebody else might come open because they're getting one-on-one. But if they're smart coaches, and if Scorton is having his way, you know, think about, unfortunately, they lost the way Michael Clemens was dominating LSU.
Yep.
I can't remember the kid's Austin. So I can't remember the kid's name. I mean, he got like what, 3 or 4 that day.
And I think he had 2 on the final drive.
Yeah. But they were moving him around and stuff like that. And I'm sure they'll do the same thing with Nick Scorton. But you're moving him around to get a good matchup. I can't imagine he's ever going to have a more favorable matchup than going against a true freshman in his first game.
Let's say they move him around and they do everything they can to stop Scorton. That opens the door for everybody else.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If you're chipping him and saving a back to get on him and double teaming him, well, then more than likely you got one-on-one blocking on Shamar Turner and Shamar Stewart, and then Cassius Howe may be coming on a blitz. So yeah, a guy like Scorton can create a lot of havoc even if he's not the guy that's getting the sack.
Opinionated. When it's good, when it's bad.
Yep.
And during the prior regime, you complained a lot, which, by the way, you were right. But I feel heading into this Notre Dame game, you're on the optimistic train. Am I right?
Yes. 1, it was a quiet offseason. So what that tells me is there was a lot of work being done, a lot of work in silence. 2, you just like the direction of where the program is going, with what Elko is doing. I think he demands a lot. He has a standard, which every coach does, but I think he has a standard that holds people accountable. And you can hear that with what the players are saying, man. You hear the interviews, you listen to the SEC media days, you hear them in the post-practice interviews. It's a different tone to the team. It's a different approach to the team. I think there's a certain toughness to the team, and I like that. Like I said last time we were on, man, it's never been an issue of talent. It's just been an issue of putting it together, taking all the ingredients, man, and making the right meal. And I think that we have that. I think it can show early or it can show late, but I think you're going to see the makings of what Elko's been brewing, man, this whole offseason. I'm excited for this weekend. I think it's going to be big time. I think we're going to surprise a lot of people, man.
How do you think it affects A&M, though, the additions? Because I feel like for a story like A&M, yeah, they lost some dudes with some 5-star talent, no doubt about it. But it feels like, at least today before the season starts, that you took 2 steps forward by losing a couple of guys that maybe just didn't fit in the culture here.
Right. Well, I would certainly agree with that, but that's why we highlighted that comment from Coach Elko yesterday, because he kind of said similar thing where, you're going into week one. Maybe he didn't name any specific position groups, but I'll name them for him. Somewhere like defensive back, where Texas A&M should be a lot better, right? But then you get into a football game, and then maybe you find, well, maybe this one guy's not ready. Maybe this other guy gets banged up. Maybe this, maybe that. You have to adjust on the fly. So all the areas where we feel like we have shored up a deficiency or we got better depth, I mean, that could go away in a quarter. And I think that is the challenge of predicting these games, and that's why it's such a challenge predicting Texas A&M. I mean, I could see a scenario, I don't think it's far-fetched, where they go to the college football playoff. Now, I'm not sitting here saying they go undefeated or anything like that, but 9-3, 10-2, I don't think that's completely out of the realm of possibility. But I also could see a scenario where, maybe they go 7-5, and it's just it's so difficult for me to peg A&M this season.
It's difficult for us too, but this is how I dumb it down to make it, just better decisions in game. Okay, better culture. Okay, the top strength and conditioning coach. All right, with all the dysfunction that we saw last year, 7-5, with chances, absolute chances to beat some top teams, Tennessee, Alabama, LSU. All those games were right there for A&M, and I know that's life in the SEC. But with all the chaos to go 7-5 with last year, right, and have a chance against Ole Miss to tie in the last few seconds of the game, all that to me, like, you made a change at coach, and you made several changes at positional coaches. Like, it has to be better. Maybe that doesn't equate to 10-2, 9-3, but it feels like you're going to be better when it matters at the end of games.
Right, and you kind of alluded to it, but I'll say it for you. Massive upgrade at head coach, in my opinion. We don't need to rehash, but I don't know what in the world Jimbo was doing the last couple of years. I think he had phoned it in. Meanwhile, you got Coach Elko here that, I wouldn't say the jury's out on him because he did such a good job at Duke, but it was only for 2 years. Mm-hmm. So I'm not calling into question whether he can do it, but I'm calling into question whether we can sit here today and say, he's a top half SEC coach. I mean, we could say it, but I wouldn't feel confident. He's got to go out here and show me something. I think by the end of the season, I think he'll be in everybody's top half of the SEC in terms of head coaches. But, yeah, I mean, you make a lot of good points. But, again, this overreactions you thought Florida State overreactions were wild. Wait till Saturday night when we find out if Texas A&M beats Notre Dame. There's going to be discussion that A&M should probably be a top 10 team. If they lose to Notre Dame, there's going to be a lot of discussion of the same old Aggies.
Rudy, do you find yourself still like watching college football, being plugged in? Obviously, you probably follow Notre Dame. You follow all the big storylines. You keep it to Notre Dame. Did you follow Johnny when he was playing?
I did, because he was exciting. You never know what he was going to do next. That's why he was exciting. Today's a little different. The kids are different today. And not that it's bad. It's just, hey, listen, they're getting paid. It's almost, I call it a train wreck waiting to happen. And I'm not sure what train wreck is going to happen first. But, it's almost being a free agent in the National Football League. Now they're a free agent in college. I said, wait a minute. I don't understand. Someone's got to take control of this, because these kids are good kids, and they just feel if things get hard, they have to go somewhere else. So I'm going to give you a little quick story about Joe Montana, who was at Notre Dame. He was a junior till he got his opportunity to play at Notre Dame. It was the middle of the season, and Joe had a new coaching change from Parsegan recruited him, and Dan Devine comes in from the Green Bay Packers, and the new coaches like to have their own new recruits. And make a long story short, Joe came in as a 7th-string quarterback at Notre Dame. But his junior year, he was 3rd-string quarterback, or maybe 4th. He was a prep team quarterback who was not given the real plays of the starting team. But one thing he understood was from his father, who would not let him leave Notre Dame, because he had every right to leave Notre Dame, but never left Notre Dame, to go to Pittsburgh and stayed at Notre Dame. Good thing he did. because he got his chance to play at Notre Dame his junior year. And because of a couple of guys getting hurt, not only did he play, but he come from behind and beat North Carolina. Then the next week, he does the same thing with Air Force Academy. And that kind of start, maybe this guy is somebody. So they ended up playing him. He ends up winning the national championship. Bill Walsh sees the skill and talent this kid has, drafts him low, puts him on the bench for 2 years, and the rest is history. 4-time Super Bowl, 2 times most valuable player. So Joe never quit. He stuck it out, even though things didn't look bright for him. And the point is, when things get tough in life, you don't leave. You don't quit because things aren't going your way. You stick it out and grind it out, and you will always have your opportunity if you prepare. Maybe it's not in a football game, maybe it's in life. And that's the lesson, I think, that needs to be taught to these kids. You don't leave because things aren't going your way. Yeah, you may get a better opportunity. Yeah, but the grass is never greener either. So that's the train wreck I'm talking about. It's later on, maybe not today.
All right, you want to let Cooper tell the people what to do?
Oh boy, you're gonna make me work here. Yeah, come on over, Cooper.
Oh, he's going to get real close.
Yeah, my
gonna be
favorite.
very
Here
awkward.
it comes.
He's putting his arm around you.
Oh, I'm ready?
You can talk now.
Awesome. Well, first you got to like, you got to subscribe, you got to comment, and lastly, you got to share it with your friends.
Appreciate everybody listening and watching. We'll see you tomorrow.